she screamed enough, and she was upset enough for something to happen, which was, in many ways, a very important thing that happened in my life. A very sad thing, but a very important thing. I'm sure any one of you, which I hope, the Muslims, I do not wish this upon anyone. I do not wish upon my sons or my daughters or any Muslim to get into this whole girlfriend-boyfriend rubbish, because it is rubbish, right? It is heart-rendering, it's soul-destroying, right? There is nothing nice about it except perhaps the sex, right? Okay, but all the other stuff that comes along with it, right? The jealousy, I'm just being honest, sorry if it embarrassed anyone. The jealousy, the stuff that comes with it, it's just terrible. It really is terrible, okay? And I don't wish that upon any human being, in fact. What I wish upon human beings is that they do what is right, the right thing to do, and that's to get married. Right? If someone cares about you, you should get married, and you should live together, and you should share a life together, and that's what you should do, right? And that's something that God has given blessings to, right? Whereas as for this girlfriend-boyfriend stuff, anyway. So what happened was, I stopped practicing Islam, because I was afraid that if I kept practicing Islam, I would lose her. And at the time, really in reality, she was probably, in terms of my personal relationships, the most important human being to me in my life. And we had a truly amazing relationship. The other thing which I haven't discussed, of course, like I suppose any thinking teenager will think a lot about love and what is love and what does love mean. And that was another thing that I was totally obsessed with. And I thought I'd found love with her. And, I don't want to go into it, but it was very intense and we were very, very close. And so when she freaked out, it was like, okay, I'm going to have to put this on the side and this and that and whatever. And anyway, I just gave up practicing Islam. I didn't say I wasn't Muslim anymore. In fact, I remember that once I was at a party and I was so drunk and I was sitting there talking to people about Islam. And there was this group of 5 or 6 people. There was 5 or 6 people and I was telling them, Islam is really good and you have to read the Quran and this, and they were going, yeah, tell us more, right? And I was saying, I can't, I'm just too drunk. I said, read the Quran, yeah, it's good, right? That's what my life was, right? My life was really like that. So I still believed in it and I would even talk to people about it, but I didn't practice, I didn't do anything. But in reality, that was the worst state I had ever been in, because the worst condition you could ever be in is when you know the truth and you don't live according to the truth. That's the worst thing, right? That's worse than not knowing the truth. When you know it and you don't live it, that is the worst. And that is when I started to take more and more. Actually, this is the time when I really almost became a junkie, because the reality was that I really literally knew every morning I'd wake up, I'd say, I have to pray. I have to pray. But then I was running away from that, right? And what also happened was things began almost from that time to deteriorate between me and my girlfriend. Things got worse and worse and worse, okay? So I'm taking more and more stuff and I'm trying to live in this cloud, because that's what I'm creating for myself, a bubble. I don't want to face reality. My relationship with my girlfriend's getting bad. Anyway, this goes on for 2 years. 2 years, right? Now, 2 years, everything comes to a head, right? My girlfriend is in Spain because she's studying Spanish and she has to go to a Spanish-speaking country. And I know there's something going on between her and some other guy. I know it, but I'm not ready to face it. I don't want to face up to that. I'm just hiding away from it. And I know something's going on. Anyway, my life is a mess. My parents retired in Portugal. They left Egypt, they went to Portugal, they retired there. They're not Portuguese, but they went to retire there. So I thought, forget this, I'm going to Portugal. I'm going to stay with my parents. I'm going to get away from this, all this confusion in my life. And there I am. And my girlfriend is supposed to join me. And 2 weeks pass and I've heard nothing. Not a phone call, nothing, right? I don't wish this upon anybody. It was terrible, right? And what am I doing? I'm working in the garden, right? Doing some stuff for my mum. 2 weeks have passed. I don't hear. And again, it's one of those moments, those epiphany, those moments when something happens. And I'm working in the garden. And I'm just thinking, you know what? You know why your life is a mess? Your life is a mess because you know that Islam is the truth. You know you should be praying 5 times a day, and you're not doing it. That's the only reason. There's nothing else. That's why your life is a mess. So I made this prayer. I said, oh God, oh Allah, please let my girlfriend, I didn't say my girlfriend, I mentioned her name, of course, but I don't want to mention her name, but I said, let my girlfriend phone. Just let her phone, please. If she phones today, I swear to you, I swear, I will pray 5 times a day. I don't promise I can stop smoking spliff or having sex, but I swear I will pray 5 times a day. I swear, I promise, please. Right? So anyway, I made this prayer, right? So anyway, I go have lunch, come back in the garden, I'm working away, and my dad comes. He says, Ant, that's what he used to call me, Ant, right? It's, my girlfriend, it was my girlfriend on the phone, right? So, wow, I dropped the spade, I went upstairs. The funny thing was, I don't even remember what she said. I was just going, All I was thinking, I have to pray now. That's all I was thinking. That's all I was thinking. So, I put down the phone, I went, I took a bath, I took a ghusl, and brothers and sisters, that's when I started praying 5 times a day. And alhamdulillah, from that day until today, except, if I overslept or something, I've only missed, I will confess, once I missed my prayer on purpose. I could have prayed, but I didn't. Okay, what happened? That was very early on. But alhamdulillah, may Allah forgive me for that. But apart from that, I have never on purpose missed one of my 5 prayers, and that was 20-something 2 years ago now. Alhamdulillah. So, brothers and sisters, I know the brothers are saying it's Maghrib and this and that, but we're nearly finished, okay? So we have to finish this, inshallah. There's a few things I want to say before we go and pray, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, one of the things I want to say, right, is that really the difference between being a Muslim and not being a Muslim is really praying 5 times a day. It really, and that's why I count my becoming Muslim not from the day when I was 18 or 19 no, it's the day when I started praying 5 times a day. That is the day that I became Muslim. And the other thing I want to say is, listen, Allah has given us in Islam a program. I mean, literally, all you have to do is follow the program and your life will change. When I started praying 5 times a day, it changed my life. Prayer, when you do it with understanding, and when you do it with khushu', with awe and reverence before Allah, it will change your life. It should change your life. And it did. It changed my life, right? I gave up things. I gave up, I had the hash, there it was. I threw it in the garden. Right? Because you know what I used to do? I didn't know that it was haram. I didn't know it's forbidden. But I did come across this verse that said that don't approach prayer when you're intoxicated. So you know what I used to do? I used to pray the night prayer, Isha, right? As early as I could. Roll up some spliff, get stoned, this and that, right, whatever. Then I'd go to sleep, wake up in the morning, so I wasn't, still wasted in the morning, right? Of course, what happens is you smoke later and later and later, and then, and then I started realizing, wait a minute, there's just no way I can do both. There's no way. Anyway, I've made my promise to Allah, that is it, I'm not going to break it. So that's when I just gave it up, because I knew the 2 things. I didn't even know it was haram. I just knew that you can't really be following Islam and taking this stuff at the same time. And when my girlfriend, she came, because she came, I said, listen, I sat down with her, had a long talk with her. I said, listen, I've taken this religion seriously, so you're going to sleep in that room over there. I'm going to sleep in this room over here. Even my mum came up to me and said, what are you doing? My mum's a Catholic and this and that. I said, no. That's it. I said, the only way is you marry me. That's it. We get married. And I'm not going to marry you unless you become Muslim and you're serious about it. You're not just doing it to marry me. Right? So, anyway, brothers and sisters, a lot more I could say, alhamdulillah, about where my journey went from there. Okay, and there's more things I could add about, the question, what did my parents say about all of this? Okay, that's another story. Okay? But inshallah, brothers and sisters, that's a little bit about my journey to Islam. And I just want to finally say, brothers and sisters, I truly have to say that I don't know what I did to deserve to be Muslim. I don't know. Islam is such a blessing. How do I feel? How could you feel if you were dead and then you were after that alive? How would you feel if you were walking in entire darkness and then suddenly the lights were switched on and you could see everything around you? This is the difference between being a Muslim and being outside of Islam. Being guided by the guidance of God and being outside of that guidance. And all praise is due to Allah, alhamdulillah, who guided me to this beautiful religion of Islam. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. That's a very good question, brother, and may Allah reward you so much for asking that question. The question is, to repeat it, what does it actually take to be Muslim? And you know, it's true that there are people who want to become Muslim, but they get scared because they think that becoming Muslim is going to involve like some, I don't know, some weird ritual, right? You know, like, I don't know, getting, you know, submerged in water, and I don't know, this and I don't know what they think, you know. They might get quite scared thinking about it, right? Okay? But it's actually very, very simple. Okay? Becoming a Muslim is very simple. You know, being a Muslim fundamentally is that you accept something. You accept that there is one God who has created the heavens and the earth, right? And that you should only worship the one God. And if you accept that Muhammad is the messenger of God, simply that is it, right? If that's what you accept and that's what you believe to be true, right? Then simply all you do is you testify to that in front of some other Muslims. And you do that simply by repeating in front of some other Muslims, some witnesses, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. So the most difficult bit is trying to say the Arabic, right? But apart from that, you're just saying you testify there is nothing worthy of worship except the one God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. And after you say that, you have entered into the fold of Islam. Of course, once you have taken the Shahada, you've taken the testimony of faith, right? Then it is recommended that you wash yourself, you put on some clean clothes, and certainly you need to start learning, okay, to pray 5 times a day. Of course, you can't just pray automatically like that and learn everything. It takes time, but you start to try praying 5 times a day, and that's really it. That's all that it takes. And as you find out and as you learn, as you go along, you do your best to practice what you can, you know, as much as you can, as much as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permits you to do. So it's really that simple. You don't think I have to know all of these things and do all of these things. You don't. You just need to follow the steps. So alhamdulillah. Does that answer the question, brother? Did I leave something else? I think that is basically really what it is. Very, very simple. And of course, if anyone does feel like becoming Muslim, alhamdulillah, tonight that would be fantastic as well. Inshallah. Don't feel shy. You know, you never know how long your life is going to be, you know, so don't delay.
She was wondering, is it enough just to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be a Muslim, or do you have to start practicing?
Okay, that's a very good question. In reality, in Islam, when we say Iman, which we translate Iman as faith, right? But the problem with translating is that often you lose the meaning of something. But actually, Iman is defined as the belief in the heart, the profession of the tongue, and the action of the limbs. It increases with obedience to God, and it decreases with disobedience to God. So this is the definition of Iman, right? So faith is something that if you have faith truly, and you truly believe in God, then that belief must manifest itself, or it must be present in some way in your actions. Yeah? So therefore, let's go back to something you've already heard me mention today, where the Prophet Muhammad said, he swore by